Okay, we're now going to go over a few more formatting features and then inserting a graph into an Excel spreadsheet. Um, the first step we notice here is that cell A4 is carrying over into cell B4. And instead, this time we don't want to merge cells. So what we're going to do is we're going to expand the cell size and wrap the text within the cell. So we click on the cell where the data is, we go to the Format Cells option, click Alignment, and go Wrap Text to Cell. And now notice that we've lost some of the cell because the text is being wrapped, but it's not big enough. So we could drag this down, and sometimes this is a royal pain. And what we need to do is we need to adjust the size of the cell until it looks fairly good. And now what you notice here is one other thing is I personally prefer it to be centered. So I go back to my Format Cells, go back to my alignment, and choose center as the default because that looks better. Now I've got solubility as a function of temperature here, okay? Y is a function of X. And this is hypothetical data, and let's just pretend that this column here represents a different salt. Let's pretend it represents potassium chlorate. I could highlight this title here, right click, copy, or I could go Control C, come over here, right click, paste, and I have several options. If I do this option, it loses formatting. If I do this option, it keeps the formatting. But notice that because of the differences in oh, wait a minute. I want to change this word to CL because it's not the same salt. And obviously we need to get rid of the N. And now I've got my second salt in here. Okay? And where did the potassium go? I didn't know I got rid of that. Okay, we still need the K in there. Okay, and I may have to readjust this width a little bit more to make it look appropriate. All right, now we're ready to insert a chart. We'll first do this one here, and if you take two adjacent columns, the left column will be the x-axis and the right column will be the y-axis. Now, many students make a mistake and they highlight the title and drag down, and a scale will give them some garbage because this is not data. So you only want to make a graph out of the data, not the titles. Then you go up to the Insert Chart, and we're going to make an XY graph, so we choose the XY scatter option. And we have different options down here. When you make spectra, you're going to connect the points. But we're going to be doing mathematical fits later, so we're simply going to do scatter only with markers. Click OK, and instantly you now have a graph, okay? Now, we also need to put in titles, so we go back up here to the chart layouts option, and I usually like the first option. And now you need to type in your title, and this title needs to describe the graph. Click it once and highlight. But I want to show a few other tricks. Let's say that you wanted to write delta water, okay? So you can write H2O, and now you can highlight the two, right click, font, subscript, okay? And now how do you put a delta in there? Well, you go up here to your symbols, okay? And these you sort of have to set up, and sometimes they're a pain. You can click here and you have lots of different ones to choose from. And I happen to have it set up where the delta comes in, and I just click Insert, double check that it got inserted. It did, and I hit click Close, and now I've got this graph done. Incidentally, later on we're going to be making multiple graphs, and if I just click here and go Control C, bring down here Control V, it reinserts the graph with the formatting. So if you have to make more than one plot of the same data, then what you want to do is you want to completely format the first one, give it all its subscripts, superscripts, and then do your cut and pasting for the second one. Now, what if we want to make a plot of some second data? And the old version of Excel, if you highlight a column, that becomes the x-axis, and then if you hit Control and highlight a column, that becomes the y. But that doesn't appear to be working now, and the leftmost column or the topmost is your x-axis. So if I now go ahead and make my plot, what I discover, and it's important that you always do this, is that my axes have been inverted. Okay? Now, There's got to be some intelligent ways to do this. I haven't quite figured them out, but if you right-click, go to Select Data, you have the Switch Row column, but it doesn't work. What I'm having to do is click on the Edit the Data, and I have two different values. This is my x-axis data, this is my y-axis. So I'm going to click on the, and I'm going to move this graph out of the way. I got to hit cancel first, cancel. I got to move the graph out from under my data because my graph was covering the data. Now I'm going to right click, select data, edit, and I'm going to go to my x-axis values and I'm going to highlight what I want on the x-axis. Click here. I now go to my y-axis data. This was what was originally being plotted, and I'm going to highlight what I want now plotted, okay? And now what you notice, and I'm going to click OK. Okay, and I now have the plot that I want, where this is my temperature and this is the solubility. And notice that the ranges are different here. It went up to 4,000. Here it goes up to 8,000. Of course, you need to come in here and put in your title and material and stuff. The other thing that I would bring to your attention is let's say that you had an additional data point. 110, enter 120. Don't ask me how you're going to get water at that height. Have a temperature 2000, temp 500, whoops, I'm going to hit enter, 5000. I've got more data and I want to adjust a graph. I can simply right click onto the data, go to select data, go back to edit, click on the x-axis, and it shows me what was being plotted. If I have fewer data points, I highlight the fewer. If I want more, I highlight the more. Click X. Now I have to go back to the Y. What is important is that both of these have the same number of data points. And now I've got this new data in here. I'm not sure why it dropped. Oh, I went down. I meant to go 20,000. Okay, we're going to click OK. OK. Now, also, if I change the value, make this a 20,000, enter. Make this a 50,000, enter. The graph automatically adjusts to my data. Okay? So, with these kinds of functions, once you've created a graph, you can change the data in it, and your graph will automatically adapt to the new data. Of course, when you hand these in, you need to have fully and properly labeled axes, and titles and the whole 9 yards.